to the Meta Lifestyle Magazine Show. I'm your host, Karina Felix. Join me each week on this exciting new magazine TV platform as I bring in guests that will discuss everything from spiritual growth, personal awareness, and business success. Join us as we share our journeys and inspire you to live a meaningful life, serve a higher purpose, and make a global impact.
We'll escape through the back door, walk out through the pouring rain. Don't believe what the doctor says, 'cause I know we both feel okay. This world keeps spinning and living in it for me is with you now. So what's your heart trying to say? I'll be your escape route. Oh, when you could be mine. I'm ready for the real thing, baby, 'cause that's my desire, yeah. We'll escape through the back door, break free from the games we once played, get a house with a nice view, fresh air by the ocean, baby. This world keeps spinning and living in it for me is with you now. So what's your heart trying to say? I'll be your escape route. Oh, and you could be mine. I'm ready for the real thing, baby, 'cause that's my design, yeah. Guess we'll just have to wait for the waves to break some more on the whispering shores of time. I'll be your escape route. Oh, and you could be mine. I'm ready for the real thing, baby. Oh, 'cause that's my design, yeah. I'll be your escape route. Oh, you could be mine. I'm ready for the real thing, baby, 'cause that's my design. Oh, 'cause that's my design. Thanks, guys.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That was Alessandro, who I just met this weekend. Again, I keep running into people and the connection is so amazing. And thank you so much, Alessandro, and we will see more of him later on in the show. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Meta Lifestyle Magazine Show, the source for enhancing, impacting, and transforming lifestyles. I am your host, Karina Felix, and I have with me Ms. Nandini. Oh, again, so here we are, and we're going to start off also, because it's Valentine's Day, we're going to start off with a poem. Is it a poem?
It's just a very short piece on the heart.
So I'm excited for her to read this for us, and then we'll have a little discussion after that, right? As soon as we are ready to go, yes.
Okay, so this is just a short piece I've written on the heart, and it's called The Place of Secrets. The place of secrets must be the heart. How much of our hearts do we really share? There are those who seem to be an open book, but with time you learn that they too harbor deep secrets. The heart is what hurts. We speak of a broken heart. The heart is what loves. We speak of a loving heart. So we dance this tightrope of being open to loving and being closed to pain. Where do we store what protects us? This heart, this precious organ of life, is the first to form in the womb. The heart is our first intelligence. forming before our brains. We live in a world that values intellectual intelligence. The softer characteristic of emotional intelligence is studied and said to be important. But ask anyone which drives greater worldly success. Our hearts, holding the intelligence we really need, has therefore become the place we store our vulnerabilities. It is our place of secrets, to be shared only when we can trust, but never to be fully opened to the world.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. So tell us what inspired you to write that.
I'm actually part of a writing group, and every time we meet, we just do little prompts, and it must have been last Valentine's Day, I can't remember, and so we were obviously writing on the heart. And those were the words that came to me. There's no preparation when these prompts are done.
I know.
You simply write what comes to you. So those were the words that came.
Yep, I totally get it. I have a lot of poetry just like that. It's in a moment of inspiration, is something that needed to come out, and it's there. So that's great. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and again, welcome to our show. We have a fun show today, and I don't know. You have any thoughts on Valentine's? I know you were talking about, you said what a heart wants and the secrets. What's the meaning and the background of that to you?
I guess, we always talk about our hearts while we're really focused on our brains.
True.
We live in a very masculine world. That's the reality that we are in. And the more feminine aspect of living from the heart is something that we've lost. And perhaps that is why many times we just carry a very heavy heart. And I guess that's what those words seem to portray the more that I read it. It's that place where we keep everything that is so secret to us. And although we may share some of those secrets, there are some things that our heart holds that it's only for us. And the more we share what is in our hearts, I think the better this world would be. If we lived from the hearts, we live too much from the brains. And I think that is what we need to change as the feminine energy comes in.
Do you think that many times, and we've all been in love and out of love, and in love and out of love, and we've had the broken heart and the crushes, but do you think at some point we block that wanting to let people too close? Like we let people in but not enough because we're afraid of what if my heart is broken again? And we don't live enough in the moment of, so what if it's broken? I already went through a broken heart. Here I am, I'm okay. So let's break it again. As long as I can have the moment of that enjoyment. You're laughing, Michelle, I'm gonna get to you soon. But a moment of just abandon, just have fun. I mean, so what? Because
enjoy
that,
it while it lasts.
yeah, because it's always that beginning of a relationship that's so amazing, so much fun, so energetic, it's crazy. But when we stop that from happening, we actually stop half of the enjoyment of being in love, falling in love, and it's okay to fall out of love, but it's the experience that makes the whole difference, right?
We're afraid of pain. That's what it is. We do not want to be hurt. And we want that euphoria to last. And we all know that it doesn't. It doesn't.
And that's the question. Why doesn't it? Because at some point we realize, oh, this is going too good. Things that are too good has to come to an end. So we kind of sabotage ourselves. We do that a lot. And many people would sabotage and say, well, before I get hurt, I'll back out or I'll create a situation. And sometimes it becomes subconscious because it's such a habit of saying, before it goes there, I'm out. And then you stop yourself from enjoying what could have been something fun. And even if it's just for the moment, sometimes that moment is all you need. Sometimes a moment is just whatever that catalyst you need to get you to that next level, right? To jump out of that comfort zone.
But you know, I was just speaking, Karina, I'm just thinking about what you said about why the euphoria does not last. And coming back to the place of secrets, is it that we are not willing and vulnerable enough to share the reality of ourselves, everything that we've been through in our lives with the people who are closest to us? And it is because of that we don't accept that perhaps in sharing the depth of what we are would actually enhance our relationships. You know, maybe that's a difficult step for us to take.
You said the right word. You said vulnerable. We don't know how to be vulnerable no more. We're afraid of being shamed. We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of being ridiculed, laughed at, whatever that is. We're so concerned with everyone else's opinion and judgment that we stop ourselves from just being you and just being your true authentic self. We stop being true and authentic because we just want to fit in with what everyone else expects from us.
I was just about to say that we have to understand just how much we are conditioned. You know, you look at movies and there's always this happy ending, and you know, we're told that romance and love has to be a certain way.
Correct.
And when things don't work out that way for us, we feel like we're a failure.
Right.
And where are we storing all of that? We're storing it in here,
True.
you know. And that becomes the secret.
So this is going to be interesting because I was listening to the Brooklyn Cafe show today, and they were talking about compromises and how you have to compromise when you're in a relationship. And the truth is, I don't think you have to compromise, because even though it's great to have a couple relationship, it's also very good to have your own thing. Whether if it's going to the movies to watch that chick flick with my girlfriend, I'm going to do that with my girlfriend. Then there's that time that I just want to be alone to do my own thing. And then there's that couple. That's where the compromise should be. It shouldn't be that I should give up to accommodate someone else. You got to find a balance where we each have our space. You should be able to go hang with your friends, and the guy should go have drinks and watch sports with his guys on a Sunday afternoon. That should be okay. We shouldn't always have to give up, because the minute that word give up shows up, resentment goes with that. Right?
So very true. And I think for us women, because we've been conditioned to always be available,
Yes.
to always be the giver, to
Yes.
always be the carer,
Yes.
and that is what is expected of us. And it's very, very difficult for us to draw the boundaries and
Yes.
say, this is my time,
Yes.
this is my space, this is what I need to do right now. You know, don't keep expecting me to be available whenever you think that I need to be available to you, and I return that
Right.
to you.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
we just have to change the way that we perceive relationships. We've been conditioned to think of them in a
Yes.
certain
And
way.
you know, and boundaries. We have such an issue with boundaries. We don't know how to create boundaries to make sure everyone gets their space, and especially for young couples and there's kids. You know, now the kids is pulling hair, and your friends are pulling, and the spouse is pulling, and parents. There's so much going on. There's so many moving parts. So you do have to find that space where you could dedicate without feeling guilty of taking time for yourself, which is, again, one of those things again.
Today is the day of love, and what is the most important love that we can have? Love of the self.
Yes.
If we're not able to love ourselves, we're not able to love anybody else.
So on that note, we're going to go on a short commercial, and we will be introducing today's guest. And we have quite an interesting show today, so see you in a bit. Hi, I'm Karina Felix, publisher and editor of Meta Lifestyle magazine, The Source, for enhancing and transforming lifestyles. And today I have a special offer just for you. Go to my website, metalifestylemagazine.com/subscription and get your free edition today. You've been watching the Meta Lifestyle Magazine show with your host, Karina Felix. If you would like to connect with me, go to metalifestylemagazine.com/connect. Hi, and we're back, and I am so excited to introduce these two amazing, fabulous people. And here we have Miss Michelle Alva, and we have Joe Petroske. And go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what you do.
So I am a sex, love, and intimacy guide and the creator of the Alva Method, which stands for Amplify Love, Vibrate Abundance, and it teaches us how to harness the power of love.
Hello, I'm Joe Petroske, and they call me the Soul Connector. What I specialize in is helping people get back in connection with their purpose, their desires, and their passion. And I'm also a master healer, which means that I can eliminate very, very serious pains and illnesses, often in 1 or 2 sessions.
So I'm going to have to go ahead and share that last week I had a session with Joe, and a lot of interesting stuff came out. And then Sunday I had a session with Michelle, and I would actually say, I would advise every woman at some point, I mean men too, but right now women, as you said, we are coming back with the feminine energy, but there's so much block going on because of our history and giving up so much of ourselves. Can you elaborate some more on that, Michelle?
Yeah, just by being women, we tend to be more people pleasers. There's actually science on this. And men tend to do more with what they want just because they're men. So there's like more permission for men to really pursue and for women to want to please.
Sure. Joe?
So much of what ends up happening is women compromise, and they do things often that they don't want to do. And unfortunately also women are subjected to so much sexual abuse, leering, touching, all of those kinds of things that they don't enjoy. And that's held within the body, and what we hold inside our tissues, we don't even necessarily know. But when we go into new relationships, all of those things start to ring, and it starts to taint the new relationship. So those are the things that we want to heal.
And they say that 1 out of every 3 women, 1 out of every 4 in the United States have had some type of sexual trauma. And so, gentlemen, it's really great to find out when you start dating a woman's history, because then men wonder why can't she open up? Why does she cry? And 1 out of every, I think it's 5 or 6 men have had some type of trauma. So there's a lot of trauma in our world.
So what can you tell us about, even men, they're assuming that they're always okay, but what's that giveaway that they would know, well, something maybe is not working here for me?
Well, anytime that you leave a date or even a conversation and you feel angst, you feel at ease or ill at ease, and you're worried what she's thinking, you're worried and you're preoccupied, that's something where it's like, okay, hold on a second. We got to really come back, check our own boundaries. What are my wounds that are getting triggered that I'm so out here trying to figure out what I can do to save the relationship or get her attention? It's like we want to be able to stay within our own self to be able to heal that.
We also want to look at ourselves as the people that we are attracting into our lives are feedback for where we are at, because we attract what we are. We don't get what we want. And so this way of living that I have discovered from all the courses I've taken, I start to just look at whatever's coming into my life as an opportunity for me to go deeper within myself and help myself to reflect on where I'm at, where do I get to process and heal. So relationships are so wonderful for that reason.
But we don't see them as lessons, do we? I think that may be the
Well,
problem.
that's why we're here on this show right now.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't see them as lessons until they're broken.
Correct.
And what if we don't have to see them as lessons? We can see them as opportunities.
That's
And we could see them more as the nature of life is always wanting to support us to grow and thrive, because that's what nature does. And so changing our lenses and just choosing to see every experience as an opportunity to grow, just like nature, that really shifts your own relationship with life and with yourself and with each other. And that's why we're here, and I'm so happy you asked us to come on.
Welcome, sweetie.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
yeah.
So my take on this is and I see it all the time. A woman says, "I want a man that blah 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 blah," and she names off a list of items. And I always say, well, if that's what you're looking for, you have to become that first. You have to have whatever it is. You have to be independent. You need to have your income. You need to have whatever it is that you want a man to bring into your life. You need to be that person first, or else you can't attract a person in your life.
Rather than expecting someone to fill all the holes that are in, So I may not have a great sense of humor, and I'm looking for somebody with a sense of humor.
The problem is that we watched way too many Disney movies when we were children. So honestly, I literally married my prince, and I was Cinderella. And I think that we don't want to do that, but I have to be honest, so much of what we see as children does not empower us.
Absolutely, that's the conditioning that I mentioned. It's every form of media, we are so conditioned, and we just have to come back to the truth of ourselves. Not all of us are going to find a prince galloping on a horse coming into our lives. If there are any women here who've experienced that, good for you, yeah. But, the prince is going to come in a different way, and we have to accept that each way that happens for us is the right way.
Correct. So do you feel that we want something, and when we get that something, we're not satisfied and we want more? And is that because we really don't know what we want?
Well, if I can be so honest for myself, I have had low self-worth, and my father left when I was 14, so I felt very abandoned. And I made up all these stories about myself because of my childhood, as we all do. And so I feel as though I have kind of kept a lid on my total awesomeness, ability to receive myself. And because of that, I have limited my ability to expand with a partner, because that's all we're ever doing. I think a lot of us are afraid of having it all. I think we're afraid of joy because it's not so rampant in our world. If everybody was joyful and, living their dream life everywhere, you would feel more comfortable stepping up into your power. So I really believe that that's more of what's happening, is this fear of really having it all. And that's why we're here once again, to break through that. And I'm living through that right now. As much as I practice giving myself permission to have an awesome life, even though there's so much suffering in the world. And sometimes I even feel a little bit like I wish I could just bring more people to my home and enjoy the love. And, I am actually doing it. Instead of us thinking that we have to be suffering all the time. Not that suffering is a bad thing, but we really are having this opportunity. We can create heaven on earth, and focusing on love and acceptance and compassion. And it really does impact the world, what we think, each one of us. So thanks for having us here.
You mentioned about having it all. And even though we want it all, even if we had it all, we're so afraid to admit it, because we're always so afraid of the other person not being there. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm even afraid to say, I'm really happy all the time, because I should be like, oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, me too, And it's like, no, I want to say I'm happy. And I want to say I'm in a good place right now. And I don't want to have to put me down for someone else to feel good about themselves. But we do that. Why?
That's something that I notice all the time. Going to backyard parties and things like that, you'll see this, and I'll meet the woman and I'll talk, and she'll be talking about her horrible husband, and he's lazy and he's bad and, selfish and all that kind of stuff. And, and I'm like, and I talk to the woman, she's like, wow, she's nice, she's attractive, she's cool, she's interesting. Then I go out and where the guys are, and all of a sudden I start talking to this guy, and it's like, man, he's really cool, he's really funny, he's really interesting, he's doing some philanthropic stuff because he wants to, not because of a tax deduction. And then he talks about his, ball and chain, and he's like, oh God, and then all of a sudden you meet him, And so here's this wonderful woman and this wonderful guy. But what I talk about is beach balls. And what it is the resentments.
Right.
Beach balls are, seemingly innocuous. They're little and everything. They're even a little squishy. But you try and, if you have that in between you and your significant other, you're not going to be able to do a full hug. So why do we hold these resentments all the time against each other? And, at the end of the day, literally, it's something where it's like, hey, check in. Why the hell were you happy to be together? Those kinds of things, because you see people and they go on these very opulent vacations, and instead of being happy and everything, they remember, and they remember, and they remember, and it's like, hold on a second. It's like, why do I want to be in the relationship today? Why do I want to be in the relationship today? What is my goal for the relationship? And is it happening? And then what's my goal? What do I want to make her feel like? And is that happening? And certainly there's going to be people that are always, oh, wow, check that out, and they get lost by the shiny objects, and sometimes the shiny objects really are Maserati and a jet, and things like that. But it's like, I look at those people and I think, are you truly, truly happy? And that's a thing where we want to be able to check in, and it's like, what is it that I need? How do I feel? And am I getting and giving that feel back? Because, I look at it and I call love a business. If you're in a relationship, it is the most important corporation that you have, okay? Because if you're in that relationship and it breaks up, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yes.
It's going to cost you horrible amounts of joy. It's going to be miserable.
Yes.
And so it's like, and every single corporation requires you to go for continuing ed. You got to
Right.
leave your family for a week to go and learn the newest stuff, or you got to stay extra time to learn the software, all that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what about the continuing ed for the relationship? What about that week that you have to go where you're going to concentrate, and it's like, what's the best thing about this company? How can I sell this company? How can I make this company? What would happen if we did that for our relationships?
So I wrote a book that hasn't been published yet, and I've been hanging on it. And it says, congratulations, you're getting married. What's your exit strategy? Because you're signing a contract. Would you just go and just sign any contract when you buy a house, a car, whatever? No, you want to read the fine prints. You want to know you're getting what you want. So how can you go into a marriage? And I've done it, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging. I did the same thing. But we don't put the rules up front. What do we want? It's got to have a business plan, a mission, a vision. And if it doesn't work, what is the exit plan so that we can do this amicable? And it doesn't have to turn into hate. And like I said, when it works, it works. And when it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's okay. We grow. Sometimes we grow together, sometimes we don't. And the goal is to try to grow together by having certain interests, not everything, but certain interests that keeps you connected where you want to have a conversation,
If I can add, self-forgiveness is a must for anyone that wants to have a relationship with someone else. We don't think about that enough. Really making self-forgiveness, acceptance, compassion for yourself the priority will lead you to a lot of success.
Yeah, and definitely. And one of the things, if we go back to the corporation idea, if you make a mistake, they'll have you talk to HR. Okay, But it's like, if you are a couple and you make a mistake, what's that intermediary, or what's that, if you want to call it an escape plan? What is the mission statement? What is the purpose? And how do I, since I was the one that made the error, how do I get back into that business plan? Because this is the goal that we said we want. I goofed. How can we get back there? And then look, okay, goof after goof after goof. Do we want to continue this? Because like you say, eventually, HR is going to say, sorry, you're not making it.
Right.
You make me think of, like when we see elderly couples, who've been married for 50 years and such, and everybody goes, oh, that's so sweet. But nobody says, my God, they've been through hell together. And they survived. They held each other's hands. They helped each other through it.
That's the thing. When there's truly a successful, loving couple, to me, it's like, damn, that is nice. It is so nice to be able to see those couples that are truly like that. The people that are just biding time, it's like, yeah, we've been together for 45 years. It's just like, I'm sorry. I mean, there's the difference. But again, it's like we all know that whatever we concentrate on, we create. And so if I want that, I can't keep looking down there, you know? I got to say, this is what I want, and try and do that.
I coached someone once, and everything that she said was her negative, you know, my negative relationship with my parents and my negative, and all her childhood was so negative. And one day I asked, isn't there anything positive? I said, can you find me one positive thing that you had with your parents? And she looked deep back into her archives, and she came up with a moment like, oh, my mom took me to, I don't know, the swing, whatever. And the minute she did that, a second memory, good memory came up, and a third good memory. And all of a sudden, she chose to remember the negative. But when we start choosing to remember the good parts, then that starts to snowball into more and more and more good. And many times I would say, I lived a fabulous life. My life was amazing. Doesn't mean I didn't have hard times, but I chose to remember the good parts, the fun parts. And the other one, I'll deal with it at the time. But why would I want to sit here and burden everyone with my negative, low vibrational energy? No, I'd rather come in here with, woo, here we are, let's have fun, right?
Well, I think a lot of us are addicted. We have an emotional addiction. We have a habit of suffering, and television, watching, you know, even social media, we're being programmed, you know, look at what's happening in the world. And so, I mean, I got rid of my TV after my divorce, and I love that because I focus on my life. I am the show, and it's the most exciting, and that's how my life, I feel, focusing on each one of us is just as significant and powerful. But when we sit there and just get washed, you know, with whatever a lot of things are not so uplifting in media. And so,
Well, my divorce was one of those on and off things where we were like together and then separated and together and separated. And finally in 2008, we thought, you know, after being separated for 5 years, living in two different places, I was in Turks and Caicos, he was in Cuba. And we decided in 2008, let's try one more time. And we moved to Florida to try one more time. And it wasn't long before I went, bad idea. What did I do? Okay, but here we are. And it didn't work. But we have this, I don't know if it's us or if it's me and the way I just look at life. And so, you know, we went to meditation, and then, you know, we have dinner after and have drinks after and be like, you know, here and fill in the dots. And, but at the end, we're like now like good friends. We call, we text, we have lunch together, we go out, we hang out, we do all holidays with the kids together. And it's okay. It's okay when you cannot live day to day with that person. It's better to extract yourself and salvage the friendship, I would say. Because now for my kids, they see that and they went, well, you know, it didn't work. It's okay to walk away, but you don't have to hate. And you don't have to have a grudge. And you don't have to wish bad. You just send your love and blessing and just move on. And take that as, I know what I don't want or what I don't like. Now I know what I want and like. Because a lot of times we don't know what we want or what we actually like. And this is where you get to figure out, I like and what I don't like. Now I know what to go after.
I think what it is that a lot of us don't realize that we are the ones that get to choose our lives. I think a lot of us grow up with parents that tell us how to be, or, you know, shh, be quiet. No, you can't, you know, you should be a lawyer instead of a musician or something like that, or an artist. And so I don't know how many of us actually say, how do I want to create my life and live sovereignly? You know, I think there's a lot of codependency, I know that's where I came from, and I just wanted to please people, and I wanted my mom to be happy. And so I think that's why we struggle with what we want, knowing what we want, because who's teaching us in school or even as we grow up to please yourself, you know, to think about yourself?
That's not thought at all. It's never. It's all about don't be selfish. You have to share. I mean, even little kids, you know, they have their toy. It's their toy. Right away, their friends come over. You have to share. Why? It's mine. I don't have to share. Yeah. I share if I want to share. And we need to be to the point where, and I say this even to my own kids. I'm like, when I cook, I'm not cooking for you guys. I'm cooking because I want to, because it makes me feel good, you know? And you get to benefit from that. But don't think that I'm going to cook because I have to prepare dinner for my kids and I have to. We need to step away from that. We need to come from a place of, I'm doing it because I get pleasure out of it. Because
Pleasure,
there
that
you go.
word. That's another
She's-
one.
She is this is her word. Go ahead. This is your word. Go ahead.
Well, I feel pleasure is such a taboo word. You know, I was raised Catholic, so I saw Jesus hang on the cross, bloody hands every Sunday. So pleasure was not in my week. You know, the concept of pleasure and even masturbation. I mean, I didn't touch myself till I was 37 years old. So I felt guiltiness with pleasure, or even the thought of me as a woman desiring pleasure. It was more of a man thing.
Yeah, that's something that is just something from a guy's perspective. It's like, really, for a woman, you haven't masturbated? Are you kidding me? But that's truly the case. There's so many women that haven't looked at that, and it's like, okay, hey, Creator put 8,000 nerve endings in one particular location, another 4,000 to 6,000 in another location. They're in the same area, and you're supposed to ignore them? I don't think so.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and so it's like, so seriously, and you know, and we all know the scientific benefit from that amount of pleasure and that release. And what we want to look at too is also, it's like, what's the guilt? What's the, oh, I can't do that? And you know, and in a dating situation, if a woman isn't sure what she likes, how are we supposed to know how to give that to her too?
Then you go see Michelle and she shows to you how it goes, because Michelle brought us some props. Should we do a little demonstration? Is that too much?
With my honor.
No. Oh, Jimmy.
She's always so
They would be
helpful.
censoring us so fast and be like, turn off the TV. Well, she brought some props. Here I am. Can we get a camera to zoom in here? Because this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Guys, pay attention. And for people on the radio, I'm sorry, but you better figure out, go on YouTube and see the reruns, because Moose, yes.
No,
Use
the
your
imagination has not worked. That's why there's props.
Go ahead.
Well, just to share sometimes.
for you so you can show.
Well, sometimes people say, you know, what is so great about myself massaging my labias? You know, we all have a vulva, that's the outside of a woman's female genitalia. And so just like someone massaging your back, it feels really good. But for a lot of women, if you imagine, 1 out of every 4 women have had sexual trauma. So if women themselves start to massage their inner thighs, their labias, just for the pure decision of paying attention to this part of your body, we actually hold memories in our tissues. And massaging your own labias, and for a man, massaging behind your testicle, the outer between the testicle and the anus is where the prostate is for a man. And so men just caressing yourselves, caressing your testicles, just massaging around that area, we're creating this pleasure, kindness relationship where somebody may have spread your legs open violently or just penetrated you without consent. And so this is something that I teach women. I have these workshops, just like you were a part of, where we slow down and we start to just connect and feel and ask how, if these walls could talk, if these lips could speak, what would they say? Are they happy lips or are they tense, constricted? And so it's amazing when we do this. I'll have my clients actually hold this little pillow and ask their own vulva through the metaphor of this pillow. And sometimes women will start to cry. So this is actually really powerful, even though it might seem silly. Or for the uterus, a woman that has fibroids, and she's holding onto this little pillow, which a lot of women have fibroids, and connects, how does my uterus feel? And they'll start to cry. It's incredible how this is actually a great exercise. Or for a woman that can't get pregnant, how we have this ability to heal ourselves. We have this intimacy that we can have where we really connect within. All the answers are there. You really do know how to be clear. You really do know how to connect. We just don't spend enough time with our little vulva pillows and cushions. And if you don't have a pillow, you can just put your hands over your tummy or over your genitals and just be intimate with yourself. It doesn't mean that you're getting off on yourself. You could do that too. But for the purpose of the healing, it's about feeling.
It's about connecting with your body. And you told me a pretty interesting story when you had your session with Michelle about being not connected to your body. Can you share that story with us?
Sure.
Are you allowed to? I'm sorry. Only if you want to. I'm sorry.
We're going
Joe, well, I had a Tantra practitioner training, and Joe was one of the models, and God put us together. He was my first male client ever. So it's actually an honor to have this amazing conscious man who is just such a badass healer, too. You know, he's on a mission. And so it was so sacred to be partnered up with you. And I didn't even know him. I never met him before that.
Well, I didn't expect it to go here, but might as well, since we're being about truth and healing. So, yeah, I had an extraordinary childhood, and I was beat extensively. And so I didn't realize it, but I left my body. And so what was happening is this is true science. And so I want you guys, because if you look up Tantra, the true aspect of it, it's been written for over 5,000 years. And this is stuff that is amazing. They talk about how to do these healings. The stuff that she was talking about with the vulva, that's been talking about the yoni mapping and things like that to remove that energy from the abuse. Well, I went for healing because I knew it was really interesting how it had happened. I had gotten a phone call from a friend of mine that teaches about Tantra. She says, Joe, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. And whatever your answer is, it's okay. And I knew intuitively that the answer was yes. And then she told me what she wanted me to do. And she wanted me to be a model for a lingam massage. And so a lingam massage is basically it's a very long 45-minute, hand job. And so the idea, though, is to do this in a sacred, special way, to be able to bring out those things like Michelle had talked about, to bring out that pain, to bring out these things. And sometimes when it's done, the man can't even get an erection because there's so much energy, there's so much hurt, there's so much negativity that's coming out. Well, when Michelle was doing it to me, I was blissed out. I was like, wow, this is great. And she goes, Joe, you're not in your body. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not in my body? I was higher than a kite. I was feeling terrific. And so she said, close your eyes. And so I closed my eyes. And then what ended up happening is when my eyes were closed, she had scratched me all the way down my torso on both sides. She says, Joe, open your eyes. And she goes, look at your chest. And there was red marks on me. And she goes, you didn't even feel that. You weren't even aware. And that's how much I had left my body. And that's something that both men and women, because of our different traumas, and also just because of the darn guilt, we've been told we can't relax. And we have all these things. And it's like, how can I trust? Do I really open up to you? And that's a really scary thing for both couples, for both people. And so to be able to open up like that, when Michelle let me realize that, I was just like, wow. So I tried with breath to stay inside my body and be inside my body, and it was fantastic. And so when this happened, I'm not going to go into all of it, but when she did this, there was a vision that happened. It was just like, bam. And what it was is it felt like one of those old-time x-ray plates were taken out of my body, and the light from the backside of me shone to the front. And then what had happened is there was another vision that I'm not going to share particular about, but there was another vision when this happened. There was dust and there was smoke, and the dust was all the physical violence that I experienced, and the smoke was all the verbal violence that I had experienced. And it was the first time that I could think of my father and say, and this is my dad, instead of this is my dad and, or this is my dad but. And so if there's family and friends out there watching, it's like, okay, I know my dad's trying now to be a good guy and everything like that, but back then he was a rageaholic, and I'd suffered a lot. And when you did that, it was such an amazing thing. So if you be careful who you go to, but Tantra healing is huge in what it's done for me.
And I have a background in pelvic floor physical therapy. I just want to throw that out there because I would not have been able to do at a Tantra training what I did if I didn't have that background in science. And so I really feel safe to have had the confidence to trust my intuition, because we were practicing lingam massage, but it wound up being something different. And that's the beauty of it. Joe was so open. He was open to the unknown. I was listening to spirit. And this is what love is. Love is about trusting. And I just wanted the highest for this person, and he wanted the highest for himself. And it was really beautiful. Thank you for being such a, so whoever works with Joe, he's been to the darkest places in himself, the most not felt, and felt those. He's fully feeling now. And so this is something else that I think is so important, that if you really want to serve others, to do the deeper work. And that's why Tantra, this body work that I'm so grateful that I am aware of and share and teach people, when we go to the root part of our body, our anal area, our cervix, our G-spot, the prostate area for a man, we have a lot of memories there, even potty training trauma, or if your parents spanked you. It's incredible how we shut down that root part of the body. And so working as a physical therapist for 28 years, people with chronic low back pain, a lot of us have emotional pain. And this is where I don't work in physical therapy anymore. I'm a mindset coach. I work as a Tantra practitioner, helping people to connect to the energy of love. And so these ways I feel are so much more in alignment with the natural essence of what we are, which is energy. And when we have an open mind, when we feel safe, miracles happen. And that's the magic of love.
Well, you guys won't believe how fast time has gone by. And I'm so wishing we had so much more time to talk about this, because this is such a deep, deep conversation.
Just one point I want to quickly make. I'm so glad you used the word sacred when you were speaking about Michelle's work. I think too many people do not see sex as something that is very, very sacred, that when a couple are being intimate with each other, it is a very sacred act. And I think that leads to a lot of trauma.
Well, we all know that sex, happiness, joy are the highest level of vibration energy you can possibly have. It's right up there with, joy. And, we've bring it down to just a, whatever, mundane, whatever, something you do. And, it should be pleasurable and joyful and fun.
And not something that's shameful, not something that you should be guilty
The
about.
highest
and there is too much of that.
oxytocin a person can experience, the highest levels, because I researched a lot the science, whole body orgasm. And that means your heart, you get your heart on before you get your heart on. And you remember that you are divine, you are sacred, you are one with all of creation. So allowing that creative energy to flow through you is the highest love.
And that's part of the idea. Okay. And so that's, with Tantra, one of the principles of that is that the person in front of you is the expression of God. Okay. And so that God is here right now to let you know how much God enjoys you, how much God treasures you, and how much God wants you to have pleasure. And so when you see that person as an expression of God right here in front of you, and that you get to basically give all the love that you can to God or Goddess in front of you, that's the idea. That's the trueness of this. And so it is a very beautiful and sacred thing. And so if you are going to do tantric work, really interview the person. How would you talk about that? Because
Well, first and foremost, get really clear on why you're seeking a service, because sometimes people call and say, inappropriate questions. And so I do my best to be clear about how I want to work with people. And to me, what my goal is to help people connect to their heart. That's really important. A lot of us, if we want to have amazing tantric sex, it really has to do with your heart. The heart is the most electromagnetically charged organ in the body. And when we forgive ourselves, when we accept ourselves, and then we breathe and circulate both hearts, the heart of your sex and the heart of your heart, and feel. So people definitely get clear of what you're seeking, why you're seeking it, and that's what I recommend. And remember, you attract what you are. So if you're attracting people that are not in alignment, you get to maybe go to therapy first and work with your shame or sexual whatever's going on. That's really important. Tantra is not therapy. Really want to let people know that.
So on that note, we have Alexandro has a particular song that's going to tie in with this. Can we have a camera on Alessandro,
Hello.
please? Is your mic on?
Hi, everyone.
I think so. Okay.
Hello.
So can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
this?
so the song is called My Choice, and it was originally written because I was working with a producer who mentioned the theme of writing a song about the woman in Iran who was killed for not wearing her burqa. It's called a burqa, right? Hijab. Okay, sorry. I don't know what it's called. But she had that idea in the session. Then I wrote a song around that where I kind of just imagined being her, and then I wrote this song. But I don't think it just pertains to her. Like, I think it pertains to, you know, any being controlled in general, like in any way, in a relationship, you know, or being controlled by yourself. Like, I over control myself, like I think we all do. You know, so it's about anything that's where you want to like liberate yourself and free yourself and use your own mind as your own ally, you know, rather than working against you, you know, ally with your own heart and what you actually really want, you know. So that's what the song is, My Choice.
Right.
Should I play it? All right, here we go. My choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen to the noise. Oh, told me to lie, won't cover and hide all this love, dear. Into the night, so fear in their eyes when we everything, things will never come to change. Oh, smiling at the marketplace, but you have never seen my face, my friend. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen to the noise. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen to the noise. Hey, oh, we've got a long way to come. We've got a long way to come. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen to the noise. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. It's my choice, it's my voice, I won't listen. Oh yeah, I won't.
Hey, woohoo! Thank you. It was fabulous. Okay. No, you're not gone yet. You're good, sweetie pie. You're closing the show. So we just want to say a little goodbye. So if there's anything you would like to say, a little tip, a little something, some gratitude.
Yeah,
tips
I
that-
want everyone to know that you are the creator of your life, much more than we've been led. Yes, there is a God creator source. You are creative. And wherever you place your focus, it's going to expand. So why not amplify love and vibrate abundance? If we look at nature, we're breathing oxygen all the time. Nature is what we are, and it's abundant. And so spend more time outside is what I recommend. Learn how to diaphragm breathe. Go to Michelle Alva TV on YouTube. There's 100 free meditations. And experience more the aliveness that you are. And remember that everything's happening for us. And if you just choose love, just keep saying that. I choose love. I choose forgiveness. It's going to take you to amazing places like it has to me.
And what I recommend is look at the goal for your life. We so often just live on automatic pilot, same day in, day out. Everything is like Groundhog's Day. Well, what is your goal for you? How do you want to be happy? What kind of things do you want to experience? Put those out, and not just in vision board, but every single day. What is it that you want? And look to see if that's happening within yourself, and then definitely inside your relationships.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Love you guys so much. And do we have time for nothing? Can we end the show right here? Can I end right here? Can I do my ending right here? Okay. Can we end with a song too? Yeah. We have no time. He had this really one more amazing song, but that's okay. We're going to bring you back on. Yes? Nandini, thank you so much for being my co-host again
thank
today.
you. Thank you for Michelle and
This was
Joe.
awesome. You girls
Amazing
are
guests.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone!
Happy
Valentine's
Valentine's Day.
Day.
Bye. Thank
Meta
you.
Lifestyle Club. Become a member and get access to all the perks we offer at metalifestylemagazine.com/club to get started. Thanks for watching the Meta Lifestyle Magazine show. And don't forget to subscribe to the magazine and tune in every week to get inspired and create your lifestyle by design.